Jans, for 5 minutes or less in total, sir. You have the floor.
Well, thank you. I misread you answered a question. You said there was 192 applications for the BC Shrift Fund. Can you tell through you, Mr. Chair? Is it do you have a total of how much value, the total of the value of those applications were to the Shrift Fund?
So for clarification, are you asking what the total was for the 192 applications that we had?
Yeah. What was the total in terms of?
Okay, I'm going to have to turn that to the deputy, or maybe.
Yeah, Rebecca, you've got those numbers.
You turned off your mic.
Rebecca, do you have that?
Yes, I'm sorry. There we go. Now the muting problem is mine. So the question, 192 proposals. Is the question how much money we spent?
No, how much was the total applications in value? Was it like 100 million, 200 million?
No, it was about 300. I think it was around 340 odd million dollars.
Right.
It was very significant.
So it was way oversubscribed. And one thing that there is consensus on is that, with Indigenous communities, local governments, recreation fishers, commercial, is that we need more money spent on restoration and habitat protection. You talked about climate change and the impact of it. A lot of these projects would be climate mitigation projects. You've approved $70 million in applications when the ask was on the first round $340 million. We, in my riding, there's groups like Coastal Restoration Society, Indigenous communities that got rejected, West Coast Aquatic, all with great projects. And certainly in the Fraser, it's the same thing. So my ask is the government looking at ramping this up significantly, in light of the situation with our wild salmon, which is getting way worse, especially with Big Bar?
Thank you, Mr. Johns, for the question, Mr. Chair, through you. I would say that, we're continuing to monitor situations. We're continuing to look at what needs to be done. I don't know the applications that came through that were rejected. I'm not really sure why. There may have, everyone has a criteria that they do have to meet. We have actually committed $70 million. It's a $148 million fund. So there is still another intake of applications that will be coming forward. Perhaps, the deputy has something else he can add there. But I know that we are working to get the money out the door as quickly as we can.
It sounds to me like you've approved just over 20% of the overall intake, the ask. Clearly, this program isn't adequate to serve the needs of coastal people. This is something we're hearing from the Skeena to the Fraser, Clayoquot, you name it. Every watershed is asking for money, and these are thousands and thousands of volunteers, mainly recreation fishers, commercial fishers, Indigenous communities. Most of them are volunteers. They want to go out and do this work, but they can't do it without some resources. What is the government going to do to mobilize really a volunteer workforce, a group of people that want to go out and help with restoration and habitat protection? Because I think this is an opportunity being wasted, especially coming out of COVID. This could be a COVID response and COVID recovery initiative that could transform coastal British Columbia and save our wild, iconic salmon.
So we've committed $148 million under a 2-year time frame. We've spent $70 million of that, so we still have another $78 million to go. We have approved a number of projects. Deputy, I'm not sure if you wanted to add anything else. We know that there's more that needs to be done. We know that there's a lot of good projects out there, and we're working very diligently to make sure that we address as many of them as we possibly can.
Yeah, maybe just to add to that. First, in terms of the oversubscription, certainly there are a number of criteria that people have to meet. They have to have a proper plan, and we're not just going to give money to anybody who asks for it. There are terms and conditions. And I would say as well, this is a program that we run in partnership with the province of British Columbia. So they also have to be satisfied that the money is going to go to good use. This is not the only money that we spend on habitat restoration. For the Coastal Restoration Fund, for instance, about 40% of that 75 million went on BC salmon, on the BC salmon projects. We also have a number of other things that we do with groups, volunteer groups, with restoration biologists.
I appreciate it, but for the record, and our party wants to see that tripled at least, because communities throughout the whole coast are getting denial letters for very good projects, and they could do their part to help bring back our wild salmon. Restoration and habitat protection has to be the number one priority for the West Coast for this government. Salmon's our economy, our food security, our culture, and it's having a massive impact on coastal communities. And this is an opportunity, and I'm just calling on the government to do that. And I hope that Big Bar hasn't diverted projects away from good projects throughout the coast. As Mr. Wheeler asked, a fair question, never got an answer to. So I just want to follow up on that. Are any projects being diverted or postponed because of Big Bar?
Perhaps, Minister, I can take that on. So the answer to that is no. The money that we've used for Big Bar has come from a special allotment that we've got from the centre. It has not been taken away from other programs.
Thank you. I just again want to reiterate the sense of urgency here.
Thank you. Your time is up.